Hello everyone, it's Prime Time Off and I'm joined by the wonderful Audimus Prime. This month we are delving into Mask. We are going Mask March Madness, which is easy to say, kind of. Thank you so much for watching. This episode we're going to focus on the toys. We're going to talk about the stories of what we had as a child, what we loved about it. We're not going to go into the detail of the new releases, and we're not going to go into the detail of the cartoons. We're going to produce those in separate episodes. So strap yourself in, get ready for transforming action in a different style to what we're normally doing as we delve into Kenner's amazing Mask toy line. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good. How are you this fine day?
I am very, very well, and I'm very excited, and I like the fact we've kind of went for matching t-shirts, but slightly different designs. So you've got the wonderful looking tees design, which will be available at TFN Minicon.
Yes.
And I have went for this is one of the t-shirts I got from 80's Tees back before Brexit, when 80's Tees would ship to the UK, and I used to get a new t-shirt every single year for auto assembly, and this is one of my absolute favourites. It absolutely encapsulates two of my favourite toy lines from when I was a kid. So we're here to talk about Mask, and as I said in the intro, we're not going to get into the cartoon. We're going to do a watch-along series where we kind of cover the series. I think we're going to split that in two episodes because I really want to do the normal stuff and then touch on the racing series, which is a bit crazy. So I think it feels good to do them as separate ones for a bit of fun. And we're also going to do a separate episode where we talk about so the toy line launches in 1985, runs for 4 series, does have adventure packs and other things involved, but then it just pretty much disappears for 30 something years, other than small bits and other small releases and other things, and then a third party company producing them, and then this year an official third-party company. So it's just a full official third-party toy. So we'll cover that new stuff in a separate episode because I really want to talk about what does the future of Mask look like and how excited it is. So we will talk about that in a separate one. So this one, we're all going to focus on those original toys. So talk to me about what you remember of Mask. How did you become aware of it, firstly?
I don't think I can say for certain how I became aware of it. I know it was a thing that appeared. I can't remember whether the cartoon appeared before I was aware of the toys. I know with Centurions it was definitely cartoon first and then the toys. But with Mask, I think what I distinctly remember was a friend of mine getting Thunderhawk, and we were looking at the pictures in the box, and we were looking at all the catalog stuff and seeing all the cool figures. Actually, though, saying that, I think I might have seen it in like a catalog or an advert or something beforehand, because when I first saw my mate's Thunderhawk, I was surprised at how small the action figures were. I just assumed they'd be Star Wars figure size because everything was Star Wars figure sized at that time.
It was, yeah.
But yeah, I think my first figure was Condor. My first figure was Condor, but first toy was Condor. I remember getting that from Argos or somewhere like that, and my brother got the names just popped out of my head. The orange Jeep, the
Gator.
Gator, thank you.
For the first season.
Yeah, just had a complete brain fart for a second there. Yeah, so my brother got Gator, I got Condor, and then for Christmas, I got Thunderhawk. And my brother got Piranha or something around those lines. But we didn't have a lot else in terms of figures at the time. I seem to remember that we got a few more later on. I got Raven a little bit later on. That was amazing because I got it for my birthday, but it was a toy I hadn't seen before. I hadn't seen it in the cartoon. I hadn't seen an advert for it. It just was my birthday present. It's like, I've never seen this. This is amazing. And I still love it. It's actually the only Mask toy I currently have a version of, which is lovely.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, and a lot of my friends had other figures, other vehicles, all sorts of things. And when you're kids, you swap stuff. So I've had owned when I was a kid figures that I didn't buy. So I had a Switchblade, I had a Venom at one point, I had a Rhino at one point, I had half a Boulder Hill at one point, and then a few of those. Oh, Firecracker! I think I had about three Firecrackers. Everybody seemed to have Firecracker apart from me, and I seem to remember just sort of swapping it with people. Um, what was the other ones? There was some other ones in the series too that always just Stinger, Stinger, the sort of
Yeah, the orange car.
the other orange car. Yeah, that again was one that a couple of friends had, and I sort of had hold of quite a while. And Slingshot as well. I know, obviously, I'm just naming toys without really describing them, but these are the ones I remember having as a kid. And I sillily forgot Firefly. Everybody had a Firefly. Literally everybody I knew
I
had a
didn't have
Firefly.
one.
Um, well, I'm sorry. Um, but yeah, so yeah, it was just as I said, it was a bit like with Transformers. It was a sort of a community kind of thing. If you didn't
Yeah,
own it,
yeah.
somebody around your area sort of had other ones. So between the lot of us, we had like a fairly good set of toys to go and play in the grass with. Um, yeah, and that's what I remember most. I don't know what happened to my original collection. I definitely got rid of them at some point. I don't know when or where they went, or if it was a car boot sale or what.
Mhm.
I have absolutely no memory of getting rid of them at all. I think I rebought some a bit later, and I've sort of had a few toys here and there over the last few years. I had a couple of years ago, which I got rid of, but kept the Raven, and currently I only have the Raven. So yes, very much looking forward to the new ones coming out, so I can buy them all again. What about you?
That's an interesting one. I know I didn't get it when it first came out, because we got my brother and I for Christmas one year. We got we got a Rhino and a Switchblade each. It's the only time I remember us getting the same toy, so we had one of each. I am fairly confident they must have been on clearance because that's how my mum and dad done lots of things. But I also know it definitely wasn't the first year because my brother would have been 2.5, and he's not getting a Rhino or a Switchblade for a present for 2.5. So and looking at the other toys we had, they're all kind of Series 3, Series 4. So we didn't really have anything from the prior ones. My first recollection of Mask was not getting it myself. It was my big cousin had it, and he did have a pile of stuff for that first season. And well, I had four big cousins, and the ones that were closest in age, we used to get all their hand-me-downs. So quite often we'd be like, they've got it, that means we're going to get it. The only three sets of toys we never got from them were the Star Wars stuff, which they had loads of, the Mask, and Transformers. So pretty much the three that I absolutely loved. We got piles of their other stuff that were just handed me down, but never got their Mask stuff. And I remember, like late 90s when my aunt was moving house, she knew I was buying the Star Wars stuff, and she's like, "Oh, do you want to come and take any of your big cousin's stuff that's there? You can have anything that's there." And I was so excited. He had a bread box that he used to use as his Boulder Hill kind of flipped up, and I'm like, I remember walking at their loft, and I seen that bread box, and I thought, oh, he's got Gator, he had Condor, he had Firecracker. I'm thinking, going, I cannot wait. Yeah, there's none in it. They'd all gone to a carpet sale years before. Same as she'd get rid of like his Millennium Falcon. The Star Wars stuff was so minuscule in collection. It was like I went from elated to devastated so quick, so quick. So I only had a handful of these, and like many other things, I kind of said that aspect of my mum and dad picking up things that were kind of cheaper. That's what makes me think you're buying two big toys from the toy line, buying one each. That's a clearance bit as they kind of get to season three, because first two seasons were really popular, and then it quickly went down in popularity in terms of sales figures for series 3 and 4. So that's my concept of when I think I must have got it. Probably 87, 88, something like that. I'd love to go back actually and find all my mum and dad's pictures for Christmases just to work that out, but that's a lot of work. I'm not going to do that. But I did have quite a few of the adventure packs and the figure packs, and actually, we were prepping for this episode, and we're going to bring it up in a minute, but the website we've both been using when prepping, and it's a website that I frequent, and I'll share why in a minute, or in a couple of minutes. Maskforce.com. It is my favourite toy resource, not just for Mask, but for any toy line, because it produces 3D rotating pictures to show you what these things look like, which is just incredible. It's an incredible resource and a way to find out so much information. It wouldn't be viable, I don't think, as a Transformers resource, because there's so much for Transformers. But Mask, like many other toy lines, like Visionaries, like My Toxic Crusaders, like Bionic 6, all these toy lines that are smaller, it is viable to do something of this scale. So the Mask Force website, when I was looking on it, I was looking at carded figures, and I had the mat tracker that came with, or the kind of similar one that came with Volcano, but I was like, I'd never had Volcano. How to have that figure? I definitely had that red and black mat tracker figure. And I've looked at this before, and I've looked at UK carded figures before, and I was like, oh, that came out, that's not one of the UK ones. It's only on this that I realised there was a French one, and around the time that had been out, I was in France on a summer holiday, and I remember buying tons of stuff, and it was very much, you can buy lots, but it's only buy things that are small that you can take back. So a set of Mask figures absolutely would have been it. So I'm now confident that's where I got those figures. But anyway, so let's talk more about the toys. I'm going to bring up share the screen, and we're going to share the Mask Force website. We're not going to get into detail on every single toy. We'll pick out highlights of each series as we do this. So this is the website, and again, it is honestly, it's amazing for details on the toys, from the comics, the cartoons, merch, community. There's just so much in this. It's such a great resource. I do implore you to spend some time having a look at it. I'm going to bring it on my main screen. So let's look at Series 1, right? So Series 1 had 8 vehicles and one incredible playset, the amazing Boulder Hill. As I say, I only had kind of 2 of them. Had desires for so many over the time. I now and again would go through spells of, should I start a Mask collection? So I had at points previously bought a Piranha, a box Piranha. It was a toy I always wanted, always wanted. Same with Jackhammer. So I bought two of them, but never ever caved. But I now have a really good Mask collection with I think only 4 vehicles remaining to complete them. I'm not including Laser Command, because I didn't know that even was a thing until I was an adult, and I also then don't need to pay the money for Laser Command. But this toy line just honestly captured my imagination so much. The size of the figures, it was a more similar to Transformers in that it was 2 in 1, but it was more a play set just with having 2 figures. There was so much more involved. You had the figures, you had so many different bits you could do with it, and some absolute stonkers in this first line. And I think, we are going to talk about the new toy line in a separate episode, but if you look at this and you go, what 4 vehicles would you produce that are going to really bring people excitement back? And it's Rhino, it's Switchblade, it's Thunderhawk, and it's Condor. Condor might not seem like that kind of toy that does that, but you watch that first that opening sequence to the cartoon, and Condor is so prevalent in it that it's almost, how can you not? And actually, we'll talk about the price points, but it gives you varied price points, because actually, same in the rest of them, you've got 2 small vehicles, you've got 2 slightly bigger vehicles, 2 slightly bigger again, and then 2 really big vehicles. So actually, it's a really well set out set of toys in terms of, if you're a parent looking to pick up these toys in the 80s, you can pick up a small vehicle from both sides. So you've got a good guy and a bad guy to keep your kids happy. You've got the option of doing slightly bigger ones when you go to kind of Jackhammer and Gator are kind of same size. Then Thunderhawk and Firecracker, that little bit bigger. and then you got your Rhino and your Switchblade. And then if you're really lucky, you would have got yourself a Boulder Hill back in the day. So let's pick on one. So I don't want to go into every single toy in detail. So let's focus on one toy for this series so we can kind of showcase off how good this top website is and the detail you can get.
I mean, we've got to go Rhino, really, haven't
I'm more than happy with that choice. So look at this. What a great website. Like, it really showcases the ability of what you can do in this. You can see it through it. I mean, that's such a good truck. Like, I've still got, so I have actually I have 4 Rhinos now, but I've got 3 Rhinos. I've got my 2 original ones from mine and my brothers. Both have terrible chrome wear on them. Both have got broken bits on them. But I had all the kind of bits for it. And then I picked up a slightly better one. And then I've bought a slightly better one. But I've never managed to replace the full chrome. So I think that's what excites me most about these new toys, is having a colour perfect, no fading, no issues version. But these just the fun features in this toy. So you've got your grill pops out, you've got your smokestack come down to be weapons. I'm right, they kind of like lifter feels that they can kind of bring things up, kind of like Bruce Sato's lifter.
Honestly, can't remember what they did in the cartoon. I seem to remember that a lot of the abilities of the vehicle were very much dependent on what was happening in that episode.
Same as Matt Tracker's Spectrum mask, which was just like a total MacGuffin of, you need it to do something? Yes, it'll do it. Like, what's the point of having the rest of them?
The whole spectrum of things.
I know. So then you've got this back bit that opens up and has a fantastic missile launching gimmick. Big solid missile, and I believe there's actually a black version and then a blue version of that missile. I think the blue version was a European version. I've only ever seen the black one, but I remember hearing that previously. And then the back bit comes off with an all-terrain vehicle. Like, it just was, how much toy is that for one toy? It's just outstanding.
It is a lot of toy, and obviously in the 80s, I don't know how much that cost. Probably about 30 quid.
Yeah. A
Although,
little bit more than 30 quid now.
yeah, a little bit. But yeah, so this is the second variant of Matt Tracker, because the first one came with the Thunderhawk.
Which, 2 variants in 1 year. Like, and we're going to talk about how many there's in total, but see, when you think to Transformers, just bringing it back to our kind of core fandom, you know, through the up until, you know, we got Power Master Prime, there was no real 2 versions of one character. It was so many different characters. No. And that was a total unique thing, because you think of Turtles, you think of Mask, you think of He-Man, you think of G.I. Joe, how many times you'd get new versions of different characters. So it's just a really interesting bit to kind of reflect back on how Transformers really kept its uniqueness across so many aspects.
Just noticed that Matt Tracker was supposed to be 28 years old. I swear, looking at all of the pictures of him and everything else, I swear he was 45.
But what 28-year-old dresses like the way he dressed? Oh. Like, I don't dress like that now, like I'm in my 40s. And I think there's also that aspect, we'll talk about in a cartoon, but like, I didn't know this at the time. Do you know that Scott's actually his adopted son?
No.
Which makes sense, because he's 28. Like, what was he up to as a young man? But yes, he's an adopted son as part of the canon.
Some definite Batman parallels there. Rich guy who has vehicles that do stuff, and an adopted child. We should probably talk about
the. It wasn't blue. It was there you go. The TV satellite in Germany. I assume that's to do with the fact they didn't want to have rockets or missiles, so you then get a TV satellite. That's pretty cool. And then look at the box art. Like, I can't. Oh, is it going to let me do it? Yeah. Let me do it.
Yeah, you have to zoom out first.
Look at that.
So good.
I just hope that's what we get in the new stuff that we get.
Interestingly, the mask on the mask logo is the mask.
Yes.
Ultra Flash. The mask Flash from Matt Tracker in this. We should probably talk about short masks and long masks.
Yes. And that's not like that. There we go. Put it around. So, do you want to talk about it?
either. But basically, they first came out. They had short masks, which are how they look in the show. They actually look much cooler than the later long masks. Um, yeah, and they really looked awesome. I've never seen or owned a shorter mask.
No.
I don't. I think they were just first run, and then
Yeah,
almost immediately got replaced by the longer masks.
they
The
did.
longer masks were because people were suddenly worried that they're a choking hazard. And not only is the mask much bigger, and it's got a thing that comes down the front, to sort of hold it on a bit better, so they don't come off the figure quite so easily. And it also has giant holes in the top of the
Yeah.
head. Basically, they got worried. I don't think there was any cases of it, but they got worried about kids swallowing the masks. There's probably a
Hmm.
parent group or something, some angry mothers, I'm guessing. Um,
Yeah,
but
that's
yeah,
that's
so that
probably
that was that. Which meant you had some really nice looking figures and masks, which then became slightly less cool. But when I was a kid, I didn't know, I didn't even
no,
know there were
no,
short masks.
no. It was only when I started to get into my new mask collection, really, that I realised that this was a thing. Like I had never,
Yeah,
like you, I'd never ever saw any of the short masks. I'd only ever experienced in a personal care. Because I said picked up a piranha and a jackhammer. Nothing else in the years since until about 18 months ago. And they came with the long masks. And then when I was looking, I did see a short mask. I think it was a short mask Brisato actually at one of the toy fairs, and the guy was wanting silly money, and I was like, "What? That Brisato's everywhere." And then he explained it to me, and I then went on a hunt to understand it. That's one of the really cool bits with the new toy line. Again, we'll talk about it separate. They're coming with the short mask versions, and I think that's
yeah.
fabulous.
I think one of the reasons why I really liked Raven was that Calhoun Burns had a mask that didn't have a load of
Yeah,
stuff coming down the
yeah,
front.
yeah, yeah,
It just had like a mask mullet going down the back,
yeah,
which is pretty awesome.
yeah.
Um, I need to get a new one of these because this is really shocking condition. I didn't quite realize how bad it was.
The
Anyway,
the chat
um,
the challenge with the figures, like if you've only one there, so you maybe not. Hopefully yours isn't too bad, but the masks especially become quite sticky. Um,
yeah,
and
he's
then
he's his legs and his mask. Not so much his legs are a bit sticky, but the other thing with collecting mask figures is it's a toy line that is centered around putting on and removing a mask. So therefore, your figures' heads end
oh yeah,
up
yeah, yeah.
having all of their face and hair
And then the
rubbed
paint
off.
quite often the paint at the top of the kind of shoulders and stuff as well.
Yeah,
So like my favourite mask figure is of I'm going to tell you his name in a minute because we're going to get to him. But my favourite one I bought like I have bought two or three versions of the figure to get better versions of the figure just because the figure's never been perfect. So that would be one of the ones that I hope that I would be totally honest, if they did the whole line again, I would be up for it. Even though I am, so I said how I only had a couple when I was a kid. Um, most didn't survive. We had a couple that I'll go through when we go through the series, and then got some in the preceding years. And then 18 months ago, I went on my epic toy trip, and I went with a fair budget in my pocket, and I decided I am going to start a mask collection. And I was in the headspace of I don't need it to be perfect because that's a lot of money, and I don't really want it to. I don't want to also. I think if whenever I've had, and I have got a really nice Raven, by the way, that I haven't touched the transformation on it. I've got a rubbish one. I've got my childhood one, and that one I'm quite happy to press the buttons with. I let the boys play with it. The really nice mint condition one I won't touch because it's mint condition. It just so I made a decision that if I went mint condition, I wouldn't have the same joy about it. Just play with them and kind of not stress about them. So I went with it. I'm just going to go for okay condition. And some of the stuff I picked up dirt cheap with missing bits. Lots of missing figures. I've got a pile of figures to pick up, but I wasn't really fussed with the figures. I just wanted to experience all these toys that I'd never experienced as a kid. And I now I'm only 4 vehicles away from completing the full set. And even at that, honestly, if Loyal Subjects turned around and said we are committed to doing everything, I'd just rebuy them all again because it would then have something at a really nice condition that I can actually play with. And would I buy two? probably just to have one box, just so I've got one in the future, because I'm an idiot. So that was Series 1. I want to ask you a question on Series 1 then.
Oh yeah,
What is
yeah,
your
yeah.
favourite Series 1 toy?
It's a it's a tough one. Um, because no, it's not that tough. I'm gonna go with Condor, because it was my first toy. I always thought I'd like Thunderhawk more, and I did. I loved my Thunderhawk. I played with it to death. But Condor's always gonna have a special place because it was my first toy, and I played with that a lot. Yeah,
I think mine's is Gator, um, purely down to the how much I coveted it. My big cousin had it, and I just thought this thing is amazing. It's got
yeah,
somewhere to store the mask that none of the other vehicles have. Like you can store the mask off him, you pop it out the boat, and he's got it. So just I remember playing with that so much, and I was so looking forward to hopefully getting that one day from him, and it never ever happened. And the one I've got now is really nice condition.
nice,
Um,
nice.
and it makes me really happy that I have a really nice condition one. That I'll tell you my quick Boulder Hill story. So Boulder Hill, when we went on a toy trip, I knew I was going to do a mask collection, but I didn't think I would get a Boulder Hill. I went with it. I just want to see one. I just want to see Boulder Hill in person. Like, there's a huge aspect of doing a toy trip like that when you're going to see so many stores that you just want to see stuff you've never seen. Boulder Hill was the thing, and I was convinced going to the Sandown Toy Fair I would see one. Not a single one, and I was bitterly disappointed. And then we went on a Sunday to their base, and not only did they have one, the only thing that was missing was the figures, and I actually had the two figures. Like, I don't even know where they came from, but I had the two figures. Maybe I'd got them in a carded set, but so I knew I didn't need the figures. So when they had it, all it was missing was the hoses, and they're always missing. Like, and there are loads of repros out there who have never done it yet. And I just thought I'm going to own a Boulder Hill. And that same shop, I also bought something else that was on my list of things to see, which was the Thunder Tank. I went out that shop owning a Thunder Tank and a Boulder Hill, and I genuinely don't know if I've ever had such a rush of buying two toys and feeling like I've wanted these all my life, all my like life I can remember. Not like you can't remember when you were really young, but I was so excited by them. So let's go on to season two.
Hmm.
So series two is where you bring in your beautiful Raven, which is just an absolutely gorgeous thing. We again have 8 vehicles, which again good numbers. We think about loyal subjects doing 4 vehicles at a time. Like you could see they could, they could actually do the same as how Kenner did back in the day. They could do 8 in the first year, 8 in the second year. We could get them all. It'd be fabulous. Some absolute stonkers in this. I remember seeing a slingshot at I went to, it wasn't a friend, it was like my mum's work colleague went to their house, and this kid was spoiled, by the way. Like, never seen even, I think he probably had a toy collection like I've got now. Like, he had a whole toy room. He was a single kid, and he just was spoiled. And he had slingshot, and I was just like, that thing's amazing. So that was one I always coveted. But you bring in some really iconic looking vehicles in this. Like the Raven is beautiful. Raven might
Yeah.
be the best looking mask toy, and might be one of the best toys we got as children. Like, it was just so nice. But you've also then got Hurricane with those beautiful flames on it, the blue.
So nice.
Then you've got a big massive volcano, which is a proper big monster truck. Reminded me of Lunchbox. Remember the Lunchbox RC toy?
Yeah.
And then you've got the incredible, sorry, Outlaw, with its brilliant snake oil on the side of it. Absolute stonking piece of kit. So tell me, what's your recollections of this kind of wave? Other than obviously you've got your
I
Raven.
mean, obviously Raven. Firefly. It's weird because I think I had a perception that some of these toys were Wave One just because they were so ubiquitous. Loads of people
Yeah.
had them, and loads of people. I just remember them so much, like Stinger, Vampire, and Firefly were just like every other kid had one. Um, Hurricane, I don't think anybody I knew had a Hurricane.
No.
Slingshot, a friend of mine got for his birthday, but he was too old for toys, so he gave it to me. I mean, bear in mind this is like
Amazing.
1987, so he was probably about 9, 10. And a friend of mine had a Volcano, which was amazing because it's battery powered. It automatically converted. It was a great. I mean, to be fair, in terms of actual mask toys, it was a bit poo because it didn't really do a
Yeah,
lot.
no.
It sort of drove forward, and then the sort of the van split
Yeah,
in half, and then this
yeah.
turret comes up, and that's about it, really. Um, but yeah, Outlaw again was amazing. Yeah, I remember these a lot more than I thought I did. As I said, when I got Raven, I'd never seen it before, but obviously I was quite aware of Series 2, even though I didn't think I was. But Hurricane, nobody I knew had Hurricane, but who was the figure that came with Hurricane? I can't
Yeah,
remember.
I know who he is.
Ah, him.
So
Oh,
we had that figure, but in the two pack figure, so to kind of
yeah,
multi.
exactly. That's the two pack figures. What I remember a lot as well because a lot of those had figures that people
Yeah,
got. And I think Hondo McLean, he came with one of the vehicles in Series 1, didn't he? But he had the
mhm.
blue mask with the
Yeah,
the, the one that was just a on top of his head mask.
yeah.
Unless,
So he came with Firecracker,
yeah,
and then in the show, Firecracker
yeah.
gets destroyed, and he comes back with Hurricane, which is a Firecracker's cool. I like Firecracker, but
Oh, Firecracker as
Hurricane is cooler. I like it,
well.
just
Yeah,
it's
much
a
cooler.
funky looking car. I got a Stinger. Late 90s, I went to this tiny little toy fair, and it was a box Stinger, like a German box or something like that it was. Um, got it, and it was like dirt cheap, brand new. It was it's amazing. Oh, trying to finding out about a new toy or experience a brand new toy and experience a box was just incredible. And then it went in part of the big massive sale where I got rid of stuff for the wedding, and I always regret it because it was just obviously it was in mint condition because I never played with it. It just got displayed, but it was a great vehicle.
Yeah.
But in this year, the my favourite mask figure was one of these. I don't know if it was my favourite mask vehicle. I'm quite confident it's not. But my favourite mask figure, which came with Vampire, which is Floyd Malloy. I don't even know how
Good
I
old
can remember
Floyd
his name.
Malloy.
It just such a. But honestly, see, because even I still love taking his mask on and off. I have probably like 4 or 5 of these I've bought over time. Just to just buy them. Whenever I'd see them anywhere, I'd buy them, even if it wasn't great condition, just to kind of see if it was slightly better than mine. Because you can't remember when you're away somewhere and you see it, you go, "Oh, is that better than mine? Is it not better?" The one I've got, this one is like super. Although I'm keep pulling the mask off it, I shouldn't do it, actually. Super mint. I absolutely love it. I love the hair sticking through the top of his mask. Like just he just looked pure badass. So I have always had like even when I wasn't having a vehicle on, after Floyd Malloy on any of my toy displays ever since the 90s because I picked him up in the 90s. I never had him as a kid.
I,
Uh,
sorry, Karen.
yeah, sorry, that was it.
I was just reading his his bio there. Forgery artist, biker gang leader, and previous IRS field auditor. It's a it's an interesting gamut of different things.
Imagine that's your CV and you're applying for a job.
Yeah. Um,
Yes.
one thing that I don't think I ever really sort of realized when I was a kid is the where the characters and stuff came from. So, like Mask, it's Matt Tracker and his specialist agents that he's recruited from all over the world,
Yeah.
and then you got Miles Mayhem and just a bunch of street punks, basically. They're all like biker gangs. I mean, they're very similar in a lot of respects to the Dreadnoks. They're
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
that sort of ilk. They're all like, you know, they all wearing their leathers and with their chains and everything else, and they all look that sort of
Yeah, yeah,
ruffian
no, they do
kind
actually.
of thing, which
Yeah,
I hadn't really sort of twigged before. They're
no,
not like
no.
it's nothing like Cobra and the sort of regimented soldiers. This was a rich guy and just a bunch of punks.
Yeah, and we'll talk about it in the cartoon. episode, but one of my most visceral memories of Mask is the phone going off, and they're in the middle of whatever they're in the middle of, and they just stitch it in like middle of rock concerts, or they're underneath a car, and just always, I was always like, oh, that's amazing. And I remember when I first got my Samsung Galaxy Watch, I was like, please tell me I can get a mask face for mine that when somebody phones it does that. How is somebody not? Why has technology not got us far enough that I can do that on the watch? And I did when we were prepping for this today. I did a research to see if there was a, with the excitement of the last few weeks, has somebody done a new mask? Well, nope, nobody has. They're all still kind of rubbish. But somebody will eventually. Okay, I'm going to put you on the spot, but I'm going to guess what you're going to pick from this. What is your favourite toy from this line? This series?
Okay, well, it's Raven, but I'm going to go for my second favourite toy. Let's have a quick look at.
Go Raven.
Okay,
go
Raven.
Like Raven is just gorgeous. Like, and very much reminiscent, because it's got an orange bullet it shoots out. When it's got orange bullet, very reminiscent of a Knight Rider. Like,
yes, it's very kid.
Just look at how good that looks. The front flips round, the guns come out of the middle of the wheels, back bit pops up. Like that's the challenge with good mask toys is the chrome and the condition, sticker wear. Like these toys are meant to be played with properly, so it is challenging sometimes to get copies. But this is
black and white is pretty good.
Yeah, as I say, I got a minty mint one that is just gorgeous. It was missing the saw blades, but I already had mine from as a kid, so I was like, that's okay. I'm totally cool with that. I can take that. So that's where it's been beneficial. Like I will buy when I've been buying stuff, I've been buying wee lots of things. Like when I've been to the toy fairs with wee accessories, because I'm like, that'll mean that I don't need to pay the full price for the other one. Like yes, if you go out and hunt specific parts, same as with Transformers, you can end up overpaying. If you're just buying them as we kind of job lots of extra parts, you do end up in a good space.
Yeah.
But the Gulliver mask,
Calhoun Burns, what a great name. They had great names, the mask characters.
Well,
they all had
not all of them
interesting names.
Talk about the next series of toys has got a very interesting name in it.
Yeah.
I think for me, I think Firefly's my favourite. Just something about
so I would have gone for next.
Such a good toy, such a fun toy. And again, this is one of the ones my big cousin had, so I think that's why I covet it so much as well, because I felt like I was so close to owning it, but never got it. But just absolutely fantastic. And the one I got one at a cabinet sale years and years and years ago, and it was. So I've had it since like the 90s, and then when I went to buy my new collection and I bought a better copy of it, I gave it to my kids and it lasted about 2 days and it got broken. I'm like, hey, you're actually kidding me? Like, I mean, I never played with it. I can't just the artwork in these things. Just
it's so lovely. I always remember his character name, Julio Lopez. It was the first time that I remember knowing that a J was pronounced as an H when it was Latino. But one thing that I hadn't really recalled was that they all had code names, because they didn't use the code names in in the show. They just used them on the things because it would be more used. Yeah, they're names. But again, his code name was Doc apparently, and that he was a family doctor. So basically, he was a GP.
My GP's a bit rubbish compared to him, eh?
Julio Lopez, a GP in his amazing drag June buggy, whatever that's supposed to be. Amazing.
So then we go into the third series, and this is the cartoon had a total of 75 episodes, and the first 2 seasons were covered in series 1 of the cartoon, which was 65 episodes. Then season 2 of the cartoon, which is 10 episodes, covers the racing series, where we see them compete for trophies. Like just a weird bit to get into a racing series. And again, in this, you've got 9 kind of vehicles, and then 3 of these wee kind of smaller, I don't know, you call it play set type ideas. And I think I had the pit stop, which made my desire for a piranha even worse, because I was like, I've got the guy for piranha, I just don't have a piranha. But again, it kind of, we talk about in Transformers, talk about repaint central. We did that in Mass to an extent, because some of the figures had repaints that we talked about in Hondo's one had a repaint in the kind of figure sets, but this one is a proper repaint just of the initial toy. And there's this gang feature as well, as you say.
Yeah,
They called
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah.
I
Jackets
love
and
this.
chains.
And it again had so these were wee catapults you could fire. And in the most surprising of things, I still have my original, and it has all three tires. Like I don't know how I
Nice.
managed to keep them. Like it just this always reminded me of like something out of GI Joe. Kind of the way that looked. I don't know. There's always something
Are
about
those
it.
all missiles?
All the missiles, yeah.
Yeah, I have vague recollections of a friend having it, but I never had that. Series 3 stuff, I had very little contact with. I think I'd slightly moved on by this point. I don't know. I mean, I was the ripe old age of maybe, well, 9, 10 by the time we got this stuff, so I don't know what I was into at that point. Probably Transformers again. Um,
We had Buzzard and man, this is the only line that I don't remember whose was what. Like for me and my brother because we just played with them between us. Whereas with Transformers, I can pretty much tell you what was mine, what was his for other things because most of the time the kind of the earlier stuff He-Man, Matt, Transformers, he didn't really get because he was that bit younger than me. This was the kind of first toy line that we got stuff together. We had Buzzard and Manta, and Buzzard had a cool feature where the two kind of pods set off
yeah,
separately, and it was and also I always forget that, but the aspect that the
yeah, I
kind of
remember that.
glider the back bit, and it was Miles Mayhem and Maximus Mayhem. And this just
Maximus
reminds me,
me.
these figures totally remind me of Tomax and Zammot from,
Yeah.
because it's just that's what they look like. Like that's just let's do the same figure, but give them the alternate colors, like just a kind of funky feature.
Yeah, I didn't think that Collider mask looks like a repaint of another mask. Um, Miles Wolf Mayhem.
Again, like yeah, they're codename Wolf. I completely. So they're really kind of interesting. I like the fact it's ages unknown. But his brother's 44. Like
That's-
it always felt like it was twin brothers. I don't think they actually said they were twin, but that's what it always felt like. So it's like anyway. But yeah,
yeah,
so
I didn't have it, but it was one of those ones that somebody I knew had, and you borrow things all the time. So I remember having that for a while. That and Bullet were the two from this series that I am the most familiar with. Manta, weirdly, I didn't know actually existed as a toy. I didn't know that what was her name? Vanessa something. Oh, Warfield, Vanessa Warfield. Um, yeah, I didn't know that because I remember it in the cartoon because it was in the cartoon much earlier than it was an
it
actual
was,
toy.
yeah,
I
yeah.
think it's possible. Was it a toy that was based off of off of something from the cartoon as opposed to the other way around?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't I
yeah,
don't I don't know.
yeah.
But yeah, I would
Because
have loved
because
that.
she did her and they had I can't think of
Gloria,
her
what's
name.
her face?
Gloria Bakerfield? No,
No, you think
Gloria something. What am
Gloria
I thinking?
Vanderfield. Uh,
So
um,
Gloria does get a toy in the next season, but she don't get
yeah,
the original one, the shark,
yeah, she
which
got
is we'll talk about that. But in the kind of modern line, we'll talk about the Ramen toy stuff, which Ramen are doing one of these as well, which I'm all in for because this was I love the purple of this car, like it's gorgeous, like absolutely gorgeous. Long lost the figure, but the toy has always. I've still got my original toy from when we were kids, but I don't have the figure. I've got the figure now because got her with my new modern version.
mm,
And for some weird reason, and I just grabbed it actually out of the kids' toy box because I let them have my old Mastoids. There's a staple in ours, but there's a staple right here. And I don't know why we've put a staple in it when we were kids, but we clearly had a reason for that. I don't remember the episode where they get attacked by staples, giant staples, and we had to. Can we talk about we talk about names, good names. Let's talk about the slightly controversial
God.
and we'll absolutely heavily talk about this in the cartoon because the cartoon is really, really bad for it.
Okay. What I'm going to
Ali,
say is that the character names were much better in the first couple of seasons. Obviously, by season 3, they gave up. Ali Bombay.
and this was where is it? I'm just going to try and stand up. So I'm grab my box. I can't see my box. So I don't remember as a kid, and I got this last year, and I got it. This is really kind of quite weird, right? So my cat had just passed away, which was called Bandit, and we went to, I don't know what convention it was, but we went into Manic Miners, and they had this with the Bandit box, and I was like, "Okay, that's just, I need to own that as a sign." So I have it, and also it was always one I wanted as a box because I just thought that's an horrific name, and I kind of want it. I'm going to have some. I've got some boxes in my display, and I thought that was one I had to have on a display. But yeah, quite controversial.
It's not the most culturally sensitive naming conventions.
An interesting, the box I have doesn't have the kind of flap at the back. So it's obviously, as I say, it says Bandit, but it doesn't have that box in it, the flap at the back.
Well, as I say, it's a US.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I don't know.
So, I'm going to put you on the spot then. Pick your favourite toy from this line.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna. No, we talked about that one enough.
You can pick one.
Oh no, actually, iguana. I played with iguana a fair bit. That is actually a really cool toy because it has a gigantic saw in it, and I really enjoyed that.
It does.
That's a much smaller saw than I remember it being.
It's quite an interesting one to try and get it to stand. Like, his figure goes from sitting to standing.
Yeah.
But a nice wee figure. Lester Sludge with Mudslinger mask.
Nice.
Yeah.
Also, as the masks got smaller again. As I sort of mentioned with Calhoun's mask earlier, they
still have this kind of...
still have the big
air hole.
Yeah.
I'll be curious. I need to go and have a look before we do our episode talking about the new stuff. I'm going to have to check that, see if they've still got they've obviously went for smaller masks, but I wonder if they've got the holes in them. I think I'm going to go with Goliath. Not a toy I've experienced. This is one of the ones I don't have. So I don't have Goliath and I don't have Wildcat. So I have two for this season, two from the Split Seconds. I always wanted this. I only ever saw it once as a child, and it was another one where we went to kind of one of my mum's kind of work colleagues' houses, and they had this, and it's just like
another good name,
and another Matt Tracker.
Nevada Rushmore.
There's a wee bit like Spectrum's such a good mask. What the hell does he need the other masks for? Like, really? And he's also what age was he in the first season? I suppose season 2 is.
He's still just 28. He was 28 for the whole thing. For reasons.
And he's just had how many cars in 1 year?
Wait a second.
Like, rich guy thing.
I just noticed, I didn't really twig earlier, but Miles Mayhem is 44.
Yeah.
So Miles Mayhem is younger than us.
Oh my god. And look at this. Like, I was going to say that, and then I'm like, wait a minute. This guy with massive grey hair, mustache. Although, see if I could get Greg to do a wee mustache. Maybe we could get him to do a Miles Mayhem cosplay.
He's not grey enough.
He will be by DFN.
Yeah, fair.
But yeah, that's what a 44-year-old man looks like. But
in 1980s,
there's loads of that aspect of what they portrayed to kids and what you're going to look like, and I'm like, no.
Amazing.
Is there any bald mask characters? Like, I don't feel as if I'm getting an opportunity here. So let's move on to
there's definitely bald ones. Anyway.
I've got masks on all my characters. I can't kind of see them. So anyway, we go into Split Seconds. So this was the kind of last toy line, the last series of toys. There was other stuff released, I'm glad to talk about them, but this is the last series, and this was the one where they came with a figure and they also came with a
hologram
version of them.
Yeah.
So let's pick one. I'm going to pick one because I'm going to pick one stiletto. Right. So this is the toy I coveted for a long period of time. I love a Lamborghini Countach. And when I found it was a masked Lamborghini Countach, I was like, I need to own one of them. Mine's is pretty nice condition. They're not massively expensive, like stupid expensive. But the whiter you want it, the more you're paying, as
Mm.
you can imagine. And there's no guarantee they're going to stay white. So I'm always like, in that case, I'll go for an off-white because I don't need to go, let's spend £200 and then it starts to go white and then I start to freak out about it. So I just, get out of the way. But this was the first Hasbro release, or Kenner release, sorry, of a Gloria Baker.
Mm.
Even though she had that, she was right in it from the very start of this show, and yet, this is the first time we properly see her get a figure and get a toy. I mean, it is an absolutely stunning toy.
Yeah.
Um, Absolutely brilliant. And the I like the hologram figures. The only issue I have with them, having trying to collect the stuff now, is I've managed one figure of the hologram ones that doesn't have the mask turned to solid plastic and just cracks in your hand. Like I
Mm.
bought a mask collection off a fella, and they had three of them, and they all were perfect, like on their bits. By the time he came to me, two of them had just disintegrated in the packing, and I didn't blame him for that. I told him,
No.
because he was like, "I'm really sorry," and I was like, "You, that you can't control that." I was like, "I genuinely have bought one figure. I'm sure it's only one. I'm trying to look up. They're up above, so I can't look down. I've only got one where I've managed to I've managed to pick a mask up, and it's not had that problem where it just become rock hard. I've actually got one of them where I bought I've ended up with three versions of the character. One is it? This one. Barracuda. I've ended up having. Seems to be everywhere, right? But I have had three versions of that version, that figure, and all three of the masks have just disintegrated.
Mm.
And it's just been bad luck. Like, just it is what it is. I've kind of went with I'm not stressing myself trying to get masks for those because they are like that, and I find they're stickier. Like a great proportion of the figures have went stickier than the other ones. But it's an interesting when you get to this point and you look through it and you think and go, we've had some amazing vehicles, but more so than any toy than I can think of, they had bikes throughout. Like there was
Hmm.
bikes in every season. There was some form of bike in every season. And I think that's really kind of rare. Like bikes were not really a thing as a kid. It was more cars and stuff, planes, and trains, perhaps. But there was bikes throughout this season. Did you have any of these as a kid?
I had absolutely nothing from this season. Absolutely nothing. And the only toy I remember any of my friends having was I can't remember when it would have been, but I remember somebody had a stiletto. But by the time I got to see it or play with it or whatever, they'd somehow lost the middle part, the bit that turned
Oh,
into a helicopter. So it was just this weird squashed Lamborghini. I didn't even realize it was Mask at first. And they definitely didn't have the Gloria figure because I didn't realize they'd done a Gloria figure. Yeah. So yeah, it had nothing to do. Maybe Vandal. Vandal sort of has a bit of familiarity, but this series I don't know at all. The one I know most is Detonator because it just looks awesome.
yeah, it's outstanding, isn't it? Like that's a proper 90s toy. Look at the colours run.
Exactly.
And honestly, see in person, it's just as beautiful. Um, it doesn't have like that green looks a bit more, and I don't know if it's maybe mine is faded, but it's such a cool car anyway.
Yeah.
And then the green, it's beautiful.
This is
Absolutely beautiful.
almost
But
like the G2 of Mask, isn't it?
yeah, oh, from Gloria Baker, the hollow one just like it. So we only had two, me and my brother. And these are ones where I do know who got what. I had Afterburner and he had Skybolt.
Mm.
My Afterburner survived for the most part throughout, but I just loved them. I thought they were absolutely fantastic. The fact they popped off, this was great. Like the shoots the missile. So you turn them into this kind of point, you shoot the missile, and it's got a decent range on it, like a proper decent range. And it just be stealth jet.
Yes, Dusty Hazy.
Yeah, Dusty Hayes. So I think that's why I also liked it as well because Dusty was like the toy I'd coveted as a child. But I lost both masks. So although I have my original toy figures, I don't have the masks for either of them. So I then bought a better copy because I'd lost one of the kind of side
Sorry,
panels.
going back down, I don't remember that mask. Didn't realize it's like a cowboy hat with a
Yeah,
neckerchief.
yeah,
That's
it's
awesome.
But yeah, So I love this vehicle. I like that's genuinely one of my favorite toys for my kid. Like the color again, colors like bright pink and the blue, just absolutely stunning. I really like this line. I think the line's really good. Some of them in them are really nice. The this one was when I was like, I don't really know. And then seeing I got to play with it, I was like, this is really cool. There's your Julio Lopez.
Oh my God, has he got some sort of slightly culturally inappropriate
Yeah, yeah.
conquistador hat? And is that a ruff?
Yeah, that's where you go. That's where it's right interesting fun, isn't it?
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
and then Skybolt is Matt Tracker again.
Oh, I'm surprised. Oh, new Spectrum mask,
Yeah.
because the old Spectrum didn't
So,
quite cut it, being able to do everything.
no, and I never ever watched the full second season, so I don't know if they then covered the split seconds in the show, but I don't think they did. So I don't think we ever got shows for these. But this was a great toy. Like again, splits into from one jet fighter into another jet plane, but then splits into the back being a kind of race car type thing, like a thruster car.
That's really cool.
It's maybe not got the same awesome colours as some of the others, but it's still really nice. And again, like even Barracuda, they're yellow and that's so bright. Like it really went with bright colours. You could tell they were getting to kind of 90s kind of point. Or like late 87. It's just funny, late 87 when it start kicks off in 85. Anyway. The two I don't have a Skybolt. And the four I don't have are the kind of are eking into the kind of higher end of the price point. So that's what's kind of put me off because I'm like, same as I felt with when we talked about getting an Overlord last year. If I'm going to spend a lot of money, I'd rather spend that little bit more, lot of money, and get a really nice one. So the ones I've seen so far have never really been perfect. And then Wolf Beast, this would be if I was to highlight the one I want to get the most is that. But I have not once seen it in in like good condition, even not even great condition, just in good condition. It seems to be up quite. Miles
Oh,
Mayhem.
Miles Mayhem looks absolutely amazing with his
And again, new Viper mask, so it's kind of like they're reinventing him at the end. So
G2.
look at outfit on him, man. Like
His,
he's went from a kind of military style to went heavy gang influence, isn't he? Like
yeah,
it's like mad.
he's
So yeah,
like your dad who decides he wants to start a metal band at 42.
so I've got a real desire for that. Um, so then let's pick off our favourites. What's your favourite from these? And I know you never really had them, so it's kind of hard at this point.
Easily, I'm going to go Detonator. It's just absolutely amazing. I love the look of it. I hate doing all this YouTube stuff. It's just making me buy stuff and make and it's ridiculous because the thing that I've spent the most money off on an old toy line is something we haven't even covered yet, but I knew we would. So I bought all this recently. But now I think I might have to do it.
I can't wait to do that one. That'll be a good fun one. That'll be a good fun. This is that I have had so much fun picking up the mass vehicles because every time I'm like, it's something new to experience. So it's like a toy line I feel as if I know so well, but I really don't because I've never, for the vast majority of it, I didn't experience. Same as most of it, and I probably feel that more. I think I think if there'd been modern versions, of these, I'd probably went for them, like same as I'd done with Transformers, and wouldn't be coveting the originals as much. But this is such a. I looked at it and went, "This is a toy line I can complete." Like Transformers is not a completable toy line.
No.
You know, unless you spend a lot of money, because are you just going G1? Are you just going on the modern? Like there's so many options to go down there, it becomes overwhelming. Whereas like I completed a Bionic 6 collection because it had an end. I am close to completing a mass collection because it has an end. That makes it really appealing to go down those. The same as you with Centurions. Like if you just go with Centurions, the official Centurions have only had those original ones, so you don't have masses one above that. G.I. Joe's another one where it's overwhelming. Like it's so hard to complete these kind of modern when these lines like a Transformers, Turtles, Master of the Universe, ones that have been in our ethos for like have been around us for all these years are so hard, but these ones are not so much. So my favourite is going to be Afterburner because it's one of my favourite toys of all time. Like just beautiful, colours are stunning, playability is just amazing. So let's quickly then just touch on the last wee bit of it. So you also had adventure packs, which is kind of tail end of the line. I actually grabbed my, because I've got a few of these, so I grabbed my Calhoun Burns with Gulliver mask, kind of white outfit. So you've got Arctic Assault, Coast Patrol, which I'm sure is Map Tracker, so is Jungle Challenge Map Tracker. So you had a total, out with just a single, the carded figures, which came with slightly different colour versions, out with those, you had 8 different versions of Map Tracker. I didn't do the Miles Mayhem one, I should have just seen how Miles Mayhem was. But, you talk about when we were chatting, we did Transformers, remember we talked about at one point where, how many Optimus Primes there have been, blah, 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 blah. And a toy line that went 4 years, like you have 8 different versions of a character, like that's a bit ridiculous.
There'd been less versions of Optimus Prime by this point.
Yeah. So I had all of these. I had all of these bar Racing Arena. Sorry, all of them bar Racing Arena and T-Bob. Never the T-Bob. But all the other ones I had because they were cheap. Like these were right up my street to get. So I have since managed to pick up. I think I've got 5 of them. Can't see them all again. They're up top. So I'm not in the I need to complete these, but I kind of want to complete them just because I had them, because they were cheap. But these felt very much like Centurions to me. Like I didn't have Centurions as a kid, but this felt like the close I was getting to Centurions. So yeah, these are kind of cool.
Scott and T-Bob was. I didn't have any of these except for Scott and T-Bob.
Love that.
It's great.
Honestly, even now I'm like desperate for one of them.
Yeah, it's kind of awful. But it's also, and I got it. Did you scroll down? Did it come in a box? Sorry.
It came in.
Yeah. I had it from the box, not from
the UK box.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. Yeah, it was amazing, but also really quite terrible.
I know. I'm very curious to see what the San Diego set looks like, because it comes with a T-Bob and a Scott Tracker. Is it just going to be like these two? Or is it going to be a modern version of it? I don't know. I'll be really curious to see. I expect the Scott will be like the figures where they're kind of slightly more articulated version. I would love the T-Bob just to be the same T-Bob. Don't need to change it.
Yeah. It would be. I mean, no, it doesn't need to change. It's not particularly show accurate because again, this is a thing that came out after the show. Sorry, the show did the character first, and then the toy did. Do you want to look at Laser Command quickly?
Yeah. So I didn't, again, not having looked at Mask like massively. So I only kind of picked up catalogs and stuff. I'd never seen this until a couple of years ago, and then realised that it's a very expensive toy to pick up. So it makes me not need it. It's not in any of the posters I ever had or won, so I don't count it. But
it's
another Map Tracker. Lasertron mask. I'm gonna get you, Miles. And it uses that technology where the infrared bit hat takes control, and you can shoot the vehicles and they then explode. So up here's a kind of infrared bit to recognise they've been hit. And this one, look, that's more like that's like a proper repaint of the original figure.
Yeah, but the Mac was as well, wasn't it?
Yeah,
they're just repaints of because that's repaint.
Yeah, but that's the one that comes the Rhino. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, but
okay, cool. So don't need it. I think that's going to show you the kind of, let's see that in action. I'm sure this is.
I love the delayed way it sort of falls apart. So basically, this is a crate that turns into a plane, and then a truck that turns into a blown up truck. So its mask ability is it falls apart like a clown car. I remember a friend of mine had that, but again, like the stiletto, by the time I saw it, I think the Rat Fang had all of the bits that came off were missing, and the crate was missing the bit that flips down at the front. So it was just like a crate that turned into a slightly worse crate. But yeah,
I think once I've completed the line, I would. I could be talked into it, to be fair. I could be talked into it. I can easily talk into these things if I saw it for a decent price. But I have no, there's no memory of it as a child, so I don't have. There's so much of that is important to me. Like if I didn't know it exists as a kid, it doesn't really interest me. Like
Mm.
I don't have any desire for it. It's like something that's brand new, and I don't really there's no material that makes it, click with me. Whereas like the rest of them, I knew about them throughout my childhood, so I always desired most of them. So, and then let's talk on the last bit about the figure packs.
Hmm.
So I had a few of the figure packs. I had the Alex Sector and Jack Rabbit.
Yeah, same.
I can't tell you I can't remember all the ones I had, but I know I had that, which made me want Boulder Hill even bloody more.
I had that
Um,
and the Hondo McLean set because that's how I had Hondo McLean. Anyway, carry on.
and then you've got there's the figure packs. As I say, I had these because they were cheap. They were cheap, so they were easy to pick up. But we're talking when we were prepping for this, like we're kind of getting done. We had that version of the figure. I don't remember having which one that they came with because I don't remember having either of the other two. Anyway, we had that one. And I always remember having this version of Matt Tracker, but we did not have Volcano, and I was like, I haven't delved into this website clearly enough because it was only when we were prepping for this that I looked in and I went, like I've done this and I've looked at the UK ones and I'm like, I can see what ones I had, but there's none of them I had. But then you come down here at Euro repaints, and actually, the probably time that was out, we were in France, and I remember picking up mask carded figures. But I couldn't tell you which ones they were. I just remember having the carded figures. Oh, was it maybe that Hondo? Oh, I don't know. I'm gonna look through
There's
these
a
and see.
lot of these actually.
But I had that set, and I did not realise it until I got this. We looked through this and going, oh, I had that. So yeah, so the figures, and then you've got like multiple repaints of them. There's the Floyd that I love, but in a different colour. It's kind of just interesting.
Yeah.
Calhoun Burns was delivering a slightly even different one because you've got him in the Arctic Assault
I
version.
remember the yellow one, weirdly.
So really interesting, like a great toy line, fairly easy toy line to complete. I'm just going to end the sharing screen. But it's just great fun to look back through them. As I
Mm.
say, like I cannot recommend that website enough. Spend time. I've not even spent time with it all. There's so much more in there. There's so much of the community that's out there. The Mask has got a kind of nice, wee, friendly community. The collector groups are really friendly, and when I've been asking for advice on stuff, it's been really, really helpful. So it's a really nice community. But the Mask toys are just absolutely fantastic. Like I am so excited to talk about the new toys. So
Mm.
excited to talk about what the future holds, the extra aspects that's going on it, and it made me when we went away with the Transformers Show lads, and we were going to like Toy Fair and stuff. I was like, I am going to complete my vintage mask collection this year. Like those four ones, I never pulled the trigger on them. I've never pulled them because they're always a little bit more than I want to spend, or they're all £100 plus vehicles,
Mm.
and I'm like, if I'm spending that, I kind of want it to be pretty much really good condition. But I'm now thinking, do I just kind of bite the bullet on a couple of them and try and complete them before the new ones come out? I don't know, but I know I'm going to Toy Fair in April, and that is high on my list to get through this mask collection. It'd be lovely to have them done before we get to the new figures releasing in the summer. It'd be an
Yeah.
amazing experience. So, but a brilliant fun line, and I can see you caving, especially when the new ones come in and picking up some of their ones. And like, I'm happy to tell you the vehicles that you should try and experience. Like, it just
Definitely.
it's such a fun toy line. Like, it really is. Like when I picked up Boulder Hill was on our second last day, and we went to our hotel for the last night. And I remember taking a big massive cardboard box. The guy gave me the Boulder Hill and a Thunder Tank and all that stuff, and I chucked the rest of my mask collection that I just suddenly started and got a shed load of toys through that trip. Took them all into the hotel room, and I'm like, I've just took these toys in. I was 43 at the time, and I'm like, I just want to sit and play with these toys. And I literally set them all up, and I was like, this is just so much fun. Like it just everything I wanted the toy line to be, and experiencing so many of them for the first time, and even experiencing old ones. Re-experiencing them was just like these are great. Like Gator, like getting a Gator on that trip, and it was not a good gator, but it was like I need to experience gator through this. So I got a £15 gator that was not in great condition, and then have subsequently bought a better one. But they're a great fun play factor for them. And honestly, like the boys have both. When I gave them my old Rhino, my Switchblade, and kind of other bits, they have just been like, these are great. Like really like them. And the cartoon, maybe they've not felt the same with, but they have really connected with the toys. And I know that both of them are quite excited about the concept of new toys coming. So thank you so much, Simon, for taking that nostalgic trip through Mask. I cannot wait to talk more detail about the cartoon. We're going to do a watch along for the cartoon.
Yes, we are.
We'll split it into two. We'll do some of the original stuff. It's not like a Transformers where it's getting a rival for Cybertron type idea. So we'll have a pick on, maybe do we just do the first episode? Do we pick a specific episode? We'll have a chat offline and sort that out. And then I do think it'd be fun to do the racing series because it just changes it so dramatically. Like it's such an interesting concept that, Venom, there's one of the lines in the cartoon that they pretty much don't get out of bed for anything for more than 3 billion. And then they start doing the racing stuff, and it's just a bit like, wait a minute here, wait a minute, what's going on? And then I really look forward to talking through what does the future hold for Mask, talking about some of the recent issues from Ramen, some of the stuff Hasbro have done 3 versions of Map Tracker toy, 2 versions, I can't remember. And then we'll talk about what else is available from other places. But I do think that this is a year that Mask is going to come back, and it's the excitement that they're bringing back a toy line that has needed a reboot, like has been people have been crying out for it. And also, if it's successful, what does that mean for all these other brands that are out there and getting left behind? So it could be a pivotal year for us for the future. But I am looking forward to having that conversation. Is there anything else you want to add on this kind of vintage walk through the original toys?
No, I think we've pretty much covered it. Yeah, as I say, I'm looking forward to the new toys very much so. I'm hoping that this proves successful and leads to them creating more of the figures, more of the stuff, and then maybe even doing a mainline reboot. That would be really cool. Really, really, I'd like that. And if other things do well, like if the new Masters of the Universe movie does well, maybe they might decide, hey, maybe we should make some more films and stuff. As we know, currently Hasbro have gone, yeah, no more films, everything's bad because they nosedive Transformers 1. But yeah, there's definitely a hunger for it. There's definitely a desire for it. And Mask as a concept and Mask as a show, it's so many things have come along since then that are very much derivative of Mask. Like a superhero team that drive around in vehicles that turn into other vehicles and fly and whatever else. So having them come back as a toy line, not just aimed at collectors, but having them as a kids' toy line as well, could possibly be a really good thing.
Agree. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Thank you all for watching. Please, if you enjoyed this, we do this for free. We do this because it's enjoyable, but we would really appreciate if you could take a moment just to like, subscribe, share the video, tell a friend, tell an enemy, tell Agents of Mayhem, whoever it may be, share it amongst them all, and we will catch you on the next one. Bye for now.
Bye.